Hi everyone, just a preface before the video starts. Infinite loop has not been documented very well, or at all. So if I get something wrong, or I just forget to mention something, that's my bad. I also can't record new gameplay because this app straight up doesn't open anymore. So I would like to give a huge thank you to Jaycee for letting me use the footage we recorded a while back, and whatever other what other footage I could find. Yeah, but without further ado, let's jump into the video. Hot Wheels Infinite Loop was a mobile game developed by CM Games and was released globally on August 27th, 2019. A few years later, on January 31st, 2022, the app would officially be taken offline as the servers were no longer available and players couldn't log in anymore. Now, to those who didn't play it, you might wonder, what was the app like? Was it any good? Was it a competent racer? Did it deserve to go offline, or was it secretly an obscure gem that the community can only look back fondly on? So, I will be the first to admit, I don't really like racing games. They're not my cup of tea. The only one I genuinely go out of my way to play is the initial D arcade ones. So when Infinite Loop dropped, my standards weren't very high, but I was pleasantly surprised to find out that a lot of it was very user-friendly. A lot of racing games require you to upgrade certain parts of the car, like the engine, the wheels, just everything, and that all goes together. Infinite Loop boiled it down to just upgrade the car and it'll upgrade your max speed, drift, all of that, all at once. So it kind of took the super customization out of the racing game, and it just let you boil down to pick a car, upgrade car, drive car. Before we get into any of the cars or the upgrade system, let's talk about the gameplay loop. At the heart of it, it is an arcade racer. You pick your car, you get a random map, and that's where you and 7 other racers compete in one of the 3 main game modes. So what 3 game modes did Infinite Loop have to offer? Well, first you have your race mode. That's just your simple race, come in places 1 through 7. First you obviously get better prizes, and 7, I don't actually remember ever coming in 7th, so I don't know what happens. You probably get nothing. Next up you have knockout mode. About every 30 seconds, I don't actually remember the time, and I can't find any videos on it, so it was at a set interval. It would get rid of the last player until you're down to the first and second player, and whoever's in first ended up winning because the last person would be knocked out. Time attackers would have 2 teams of 4 trying to secure the most time on the leaderboard. This would be done by going through little slots that had plus seconds, starting off with 3 and then going down with each person who passed through. I think out of the 3 core game modes, Knockout was my favorite. It was always an adrenaline rush seeing everyone get knocked out as the timer winds down. But I think my least favorite was the score attack, because it was very heavily team based. I'll throw some video behind of when I played with Jaycee and we did that. You could be front running the whole time, but if your team wasn't right behind you, you were pretty much set to lose. These 3 game modes were the basis of your online gameplay. However, this game didn't lack in single-player content. The single-player content also had 3 main game modes. First up was the campaign. This was your story and tutorial missions. As you progressed with the races, the CPUs would also become harder. In terms of story, I don't really think there ever was any. It was mostly just races under different conditions, but it's still considered a campaign story mode. Now, a racing game wouldn't be complete without time trials, wouldn't it? This was just you against the clock. You could look at your previous times. I think you could also look at the global and your friends' times. I don't remember for certain, but I feel like that was a feature. This was just you trying to get your best lap every single time. I also remember there being a harder campaign that was added later on, but I don't know if that's my memory failing me, because I straight up can't find anything online about it. Although Infinite Loop isn't documented extremely well anywhere, so I don't remember if that's another game mode. I emailed CM Games, so if they get back to me, you'll hear another blurb. I think there was a 3rd game mode. I think. I don't remember exactly. I think. Both the online and single-player races gave you XP, which helped with your battle pass and your normal level. There was also your daily missions. These were 3 different tasks that you had to complete in order to get extra, I believe it was upgrade tokens, XP, and extra money. Both the online and single player also had events. This would be picking certain classes, picking a certain car. Most of these would just come out to give you extra XP or extra money, but it was a nice inclusion to have for both game modes. Both game mode also included nitrous pickups. This would just be a temporary speed boost that you can use at any point, and you can stock up to 3 at a time. During the nitrous, you could also run into other cars and have them explode. Now that we got the core game modes out of the way, let's talk about the core element, the actual racing. There was a drift button on your screen that when you pressed it, it would drift you in the correct direction without you having to input any other things. It worked sometimes. Some of the maps had to be really wonky, but it made for some really funny clips. There was a nitrous button on the right side of the screen that when you pressed, activated your little speed boost, and as I said before, you could stock up to 3 of these at a time, and they would also regenerate over time. To steer your car, you would just hold whatever side of the screen you wanted to go, and that's pretty much it. That was your core gameplay right there. Now, let's talk about the cars themselves. The cars were split up into classes and tiers. The tiers went from T1 to T5, T1 being common, T2 being rare, T3 being epic, T4 being legendary, and T5 being mythic or ultra legendary, I think it was. Each car also fit into one of 5 categories. Your street car was your balanced car. Your muscles were high power and speed, but low handling. Your sport car had a high acceleration, but low durability. Your trucks were heavy and durable, but slower, and your off-road cars were made for uneven and muddy tracks. Now that we talked about the tiers, let's talk about the upgrading system. Loot boxes were a big way to earn upgrading parts. There were different levels of loot boxes. Your lowest one started at 5 minutes, and I believe the highest one took 8 hours to open up. The higher one would give you more items, and I believe it had a better chance of giving you better items. These upgrades would also drop from other things such as challenges, daily missions, and also events. Upgrades would also come in 5 different tiers. You had your common upgrades, your rare upgrades, your epic, your legendary, and then your mythic. Each one had a cap, so after you put in like 3 common, you'd have to put in rare, and then after you reach that cap for rare, you put in epic. It's just your normal upgrading gacha system. Now that we have the cars out of the way, let's go over the maps. I'm gonna be honest, this one is gonna be a little bit rough. None of these maps are documented super well, and also the names that I have listed, I didn't know they were the actual names because I only knew the maps based on like their attributes, like the one with the dock or the one that goes underwater. So if I miss one or if one of these isn't accurate, I'm sorry. As I say the names, I'll try to put the most memorable part of the map in the background. So first off, we have the Brooklyn Bridge, the Trafalgar Square, the Tower Bridge, Waterloo Station, New York, London Tower Bridge, and the Tokyo Skytree. The only map I 100% remember is the Great Wall of China map, and that's because I hated that map so much. It was a very poorly designed map, because everything was off-road, and you started on like the actual Great Wall of China, so everything was all condensed. It didn't play extremely well, and at some point I made a post on Twitter, you can see it right now, and most people said it was terrible, so that one got what it deserved. Like I said before, I don't know how accurate that is. The Hot Wheels Wikipedia for the Infinite Loop page has the maps listed at New York, Beijing, Tokyo, and London, so there isn't too much information on the actual maps and their names, but I went through different YouTubers' videos and my own video to try to find the actual names for the maps. So, moving on to something a little bit different. Here we're going to talk about the whole atmosphere of the game. The soundtrack was straight peak. Like, whatever they were cooking, they were making a 4-course Sanji style meal. It was incredible. Like, listen to these snippets of these songs. The art style of the game was also very bright and futuristic, and it really fit that fast action vibe that the game was going for. A lot of people who played compared the graphics to a more cartoony Asphalt 8. I think the game's vibe was pretty damn incredible. Even if you didn't like the gameplay, it still looked and sounded fantastic for a mobile game. The last thing I want to mention is the vibe of the support team. The support team gave it their all. They were always friendly on Twitter, they'd engage with us whenever they could. When the game was set to be taken offline, they gave everyone a ton of resources and like the currency in the game so that you can upgrade your cars and just kind of unlock whatever you want, because they knew it was going down, so no one would keep their stuff. So they just let everyone have fun at the end. And for the final part of this video, we're gonna move on to the shutdown. Was the reason for its shutdown ever publicly shared? No, but it's pretty safe to say that it wasn't getting the revenue that Mattel hoped it would, even after the Acceleracers push. Now, I'm not necessarily against in-app purchases, especially if it's a free game, because I know that's how they make their money. I mean, if we look at Fortnite, free game, but they generate an insane amount of revenue. However, the skins in this game were priced a tad bit high. And when your audience is mostly the Acceleracers fans, and maybe some casual fans here and there, I can't imagine they were making too much off of this game. Honestly, if you're asking for my opinion, I really enjoyed it. I remember coming home and just sitting on the couch for a good 5 minutes doing the dailies. I had Hollowback pretty much upgraded to as far as it could go. I had the Dior 2 upgraded as far as it can go too. It still wasn't that great because it was only a tier 2, but it was cool. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. Now maybe you're sick and tired of listening to me yap this entire time. Maybe you think my last video I had some terrible opinions, and this is also a terrible opinion. Well, thankfully for you, I took to the Jaycee Discord to ask 4 people about their opinions. I wanted to find 2 people who have played the game before, and 2 people who have not played the game and have only consumed the media through other videos and reviews. For the 2 people who played the game, I decided to go with the Acceleracers community's very own Jaycee Squared, along with Fog Realm creator Velkin Vukin. For our outsiders, I decided to ask everyone's favorite cat, Waymond, and the livery master himself, 16 Angels. So first up, I'm going to play a little blurb from Jaycee that he sent me about his experience with Infinite Loop.
You know, Infinite Loop was just such an interesting time because it was a time where fans felt like they weren't being heard, and then all of a sudden this random mobile game just took that up upon themselves and started actually listening and putting Accelerator stuff in the game, and even letting Vulcan get free stuff because they accidentally used his model because when they researched Power Rage, they found his stuff. That is just one of the coolest little fan details I've ever seen from a company because, well, Hot Wheels didn't acknowledge us, but this one-off that had a contract to make a Hot Wheels game did.
And following that, I'm going to play a little audio log from Waymond.
Ever since that initial cliffhanger from Acceleracers, it feels like Infinite Loop was like the first little piece of media that Mattel could give us that made the Accelerator fans feel seen, you know, as a community. Like with Vert Wheeler having the Teku logo on his chest with that little leak of Vert Wheeler. It was like kind of one of the biggest things that has happened ever since Acceleracers ended. You know, I didn't really play the video game back when it came out, but I remember opening Instagram and seeing Teku Diora being in the game, and I was kind of surprised by it. Like, the entire community went crazy for, you know, the Accelerator cars in that game. It was one of the best things I've ever seen.
Honestly, both of these two are right. The Acceleracers community did explode, and they went completely crazy when that Vert Wheeler leak came out. The Teku logo was eventually removed off of Vert's uniform in the actual game, but it still remains a big significant part of the Acceleracers community. So next up, we have 16 Angels and his take on the game.
I'm not too sure about Infinite Loop. I mean, it looks cool. It looks like Asphalt 8 mixed with Hot Wheels, but in terms of people making content for it, yeah, sure. I mean, it's not very well known, but I guess that's kind of the charm of it, you know? Because then you can introduce folks like me to this mobile game that, you know, nobody's really heard of and, you know, can check it out for themselves.
And finally, we have Velkin. He didn't provide me with an MP3, so I'll read out the DM he sent me. Infinite Loop was a mixed bag for me. It's both the best looking non-toy styled Hot Wheels game and also the most boring to play. With that said, the game was pretty awesome, totally not biased. It was the first time since Beat That where a Hot Wheels game shipped with Acceleracers cars on launch. While probably unintentional, it did get the attention of everyone in our community. The small amount of people I knew that played the game were great and fun to be around. But the progression of the game was too heavily tied to their monetization plans. Who decided a $10 battle pass to get a single car was a good idea? I blame Need for Speed Limits. Despite its flaws, I still look back on it fondly. Makes me wish it was still around in some way. The odds of Infinite Loop coming back is incredibly slim, if not zero, so all people can do now is look back at the handful of videos made about it. While it definitely had its lows, especially in the monetization area, it also has its highs in being one of, if not the best Hot Wheels app out there. Mattel has moved on to Unleashed, and that's got okay reviews. And while the game isn't my cup of tea, it's definitely found its own little community, a lot like how Infinite Loop did. There's a part of me that wished I didn't rag so hard on the Infinite Loop game back when the Acceleracers like Teku Dior 2 dropped for the $10 monetization pack that it had. But I had to get my opinion out there. I had to voice my concern for the monetization of the game, not knowing that this was the future outcome. A little part of me still blames myself for the decline in sales and players in Infinite Loop, because the video I posted went fairly wide from the scope of things. I didn't think it was going to be as big as it was. I'm sure it turned a bunch of people away, especially because it's just me ragging on the game the entire time and their very interesting monetization values. But I'm sure Mattel was just waiting to see how good Hot Wheels Unleashed was going to be, and they were going to pull the plug anyways. Do I think Infinite Loop did anything crazy for the arcade racing genre? No, not really. But I think it definitely brought the Acceleracers community spirits up, as it came out during a time when we weren't getting any information or just literally anything about the series. Unlike now, to where we're eating pretty good. Hey everyone, just wanted to come on here, say thank you for all the support on the last video. That went way better than I thought it was gonna. Also the comments, you guys had some pretty good theories. Big fan. Yeah, I'd like to thank Velkin, Wayman, 16 Angels, Jaycee. All of their stuff will be linked in the description. Alseg, I believe I used your art during this video, so you will also be linked in the description. Amazing art to anyone who wants to see Acceleracers art. Alseg is peak art. She also does a lot of the Jaycee thumbnails. Yeah, so thank you. I still plan to upload more this year. I want to get one video in a month, like one big video, and then if I want to do like any small things, essentially I want to do one like Hot Wheels video, and then one just if I want to do just, let's say, like funny moments or some gameplay thing. But yeah, that's the goal. Don't know if I'll reach it. We're doing better than we have done in the last 3 years, so with all that, join Jaycee Discord. Very fun in there. And maybe you will be chosen to take part in a random AA Gamer video. Yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next video. Cheers!